With Kahoot, you can help engage your students when you present content in a super engaging way. This tool will help them prepare for tests and help deepen their understanding of content. You will likely see an increase in class participation. With Kahoot, you're sure to see increased student engagement and improved learning outcomes. The lessons you build become interactive. The tool is great for blended learning and face-to-face learning. It helps motivate learners in a fun, game-like atmosphere. By using Kahoot, you can capture useful analytics for formative assessments so the data becomes valuable in making learning useful. Another engaging platform for online and face-to-face learning that your students will love is Kahoot. In order to establish a Kahoot account, go to your URL and type in kahoot.com. You'll see a screen that comes up that looks just like this. Once here, in the upper right-hand corner, choose Sign Up and select your account type. Since you're a teacher, you're going to select Teacher. Then you want to be associated with a school. And here you're going to sign up using your Google account, your school Google account. You'll sign into your Google account. And it should take you to a screen that looks like this. This is the Kahoot dashboard. Once we are at the dashboard, we will notice that once we've logged in, we should see our name in the upper right-hand corner. And if we look to the left, we will see several tabs. One says Home, Discover, Kahoots, Reports, and Groups. Now, we want to first search for previously made Kahoots by other people. So what we're going to do is go over to Kahoots. We're going to go over to Discover so we can search for Kahoots. And this time we're going to use the search term Ancient China, since 6th grade studies that unit in INS. We're going to search for Ancient China. And as you see, there are 97,698 results, but we want to filter ours down so that it selects 6th grade. We can select 6th grade by going to Level. 6th grade will pop up. We'll select 6th grade. Then we'll go down to Apply. And it will narrow our search down to results of only 1,099 that are specific to 6th grade. We should look through these quizzes that are previously made by others to see which ones might work for us. So as we scroll down, we notice that there is one that says Ancient China here, and we can select it. This one right here says Ancient China, and it looks like 76 people have previously played this one, so let's click on it. As you can see, most of the questions are open-ended questions that students should, after having studied this unit, be able to answer. It says, which river borders China to the south? So students should know that information after having studied ancient China. But in order to edit this into our own, we can go here. We either have an opportunity to play this one or edit it. So let's try to make this one into our own, and we will select Edit. We'll select Duplicate so that we can create our own. And as you notice to the left, you'll see each question, and any question that's highlighted will appear in the middle. And we can edit these questions if we need to. So, for example, the first question says, which river borders China to the south? And it says the Yangtze River is marked, so that is the answer. We can go on to the next question. And it says, which landform borders China in the south? And the answer is the Himalaya Mountains. So let's suppose we want to change a question or edit a question. So this one says, which river borders China in the north and is also known as the Huanghe River? It looks like the answer to that one is the Yellow River. So let's suppose we want to change one of the answer choices and we want to edit it. What we can do is we can change this to Gobi Desert. And here we can change this one to Yellow River. And now we have to change this one to the answer and take this one away as the answer. So now we have just moved the answer choice around. And once we have finished making any changes, we can click Done in the upper right-hand corner. So it's ready to be played by others, but we don't really want to do that right now. You can also test the Kahoot. You can play it now, or you can share it with others. We're just going to select Done so that we have our quiz. And if you want to notice whether your Kahoots show up, you can go up to where it says My Kahoots and click there. And as you notice, you have the Kahoots that you have edited right here. They're owned by you now or owned by me, and it has the name on it. Now we can edit the name since it shows a duplicate. We can change the name here to Ancient China, North Carolina IB, 6th grade, and we can select Done. And again, if we select Done again and Done here, voila, it shows up under My Kahoots. Now this time we want to discover an Ancient China quiz, and we want to delete a question and then add our own. Okay, so we have several quizzes that come up, and we're going to select this one this time. We've got to edit this one so that we can make it ours. So we're going to select Edit. We have to duplicate the quiz. And then we're going to give it a name here. We're going to call it Ancient China IB Assessment 1. And we're going to click Done. And now it has our unique name on there. And for this one, we want to delete a question. So we're going to scroll through these and see if we can find one that doesn't seem to fit what we have taught in our unit. It says, what can you infer from the Zhou lasts longer than any other Chinese dynasty? So this is an inferencing question, which is one we probably would like to keep. Okay. Then this question says the Zhou leaders granted land in return for loyalty and support. What did this system do? So let's delete this one. Maybe this is something that we have not taught. If you look over to the left, you'll notice there's a little trash can and there's a duplicate screen, but we don't want to duplicate it. We want to delete it. So we're going to select delete. It gives us a warning. It says, are you sure you want to delete this question? This action can't be undone. Yes, we want to delete it, so we're going to select delete. So that question is no longer there. We're going to add a question now. And we want to add a quiz question, which is true, false. So we're going to type our question here. Which of the following items are the ancient Chinese given credit for having invented? Okay, which of the following items are the ancient Chinese giving credit for having invented? Okay, so here we're going to say paper, eye makeup, here we're going to say breath mints, and then finally sewer systems. So the answer here would be paper. And so we will select paper. Eye makeup was made by the ancient Egyptians. Breath mints were made by ancient Egyptians. And the sewer systems was made by some other culture. Okay, so we have created our own question. And once we are finished with that question, we can select done. We can select done again, and that question will be added to our quiz. So now we have another assessment that is now ours. Okay, this time on Kahoot, we're going to create our own quiz that is not already found on Kahoot. So what we want to do this time is we want to create. So we're going to look over to the right where we see create, and that's where we're going to be focused. I'm also going to be, let's say, an 8th grade science teacher this time. Okay, and so we clicked on create and it brings us to create a new Kahoot. We're going to be focused over here where it says create again because that's what we're interested in doing, creating our own Kahoot. And it brings us to this screen where you can enter your own Kahoot questions. Okay, so our first question is going to be on the periodic table. I'm going to write this question. How many element groups are on the periodic table? And then here I can put an image, and so I'm going to upload an image from my computer of the periodic table, which I've already saved. And again, it would be very important that before you actually create your quizzes, that you pull up any type of images that you will need and put them in a folder that you can readily find them, so that when you create your
own Kahoots or quizzes or whatever you decide to use. You have them all at your fingertips. So now we have the periodic table there, and we're going to put our choices right here where you see the colored shapes. Okay, so let's put 11. Then we're going to put 8, 16, and 26 element groups. So the answer is actually 8. So we're going to click on 8. And once we finish that particular question, we could hit done if we're finished. If we want to add another question, we can click add a question, or there's a new option that says question bank, or it's probably been here a while, but it's a new one since I used it. And so let's say I want to search for a question. So here are some questions that pop up that others have created. This one says most elements on the periodic table are, and I have to edit that one some, so because it says most element, it needs to say most elements on the periodic table are. So let's add this one. It's one that someone had already made, and then I'm going to close and go back. So my question number 2 is not one that I created, but one that someone else created. And so that's a feature that you can use. And as you can see, it only has 3 choices. So right here, I'm going to put liquid just to have an answer choice to keep it uniform. I like to try to have 4 answers. Okay, and let's suppose I am finished with this quiz. I can click done. Then it's going to ask me to give my Kahoot a title, and I'm going to say periodic table, Unit 2, Grade 8, IB. And I could put a description if I needed to. However, I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to hit continue. And voila, my new Kahoot is ready to be played. It says that I can test this Kahoot. I can play it now. I can share it with others. But in this case, I'm done. I'll just be done with it. Okay, so that's how we create our own Kahoot. And as you see, it appears under My Kahoot. So if I click on My Kahoots, it will appear any Kahoot that I've created or edited or modified and made it my own. Okay, so any good teacher wants to make sure he or she will have good data to support their use of online assessments. And so with Kahoot, you also have that opportunity to gather report data. And if you look at the top where you see the tabs, you see, of course, Home, Discover, Kahoots, and Reports. This time we're going to go to Reports so that we can gather data for any Kahoots that we've assigned. And as you can see, the report lists 3 Kahoots that have been assigned, and students have taken part in it. It shows the number of players or students who took part in each of the sessions. So I'm going to go to the one that says a duplicate of Royal B reading comprehension quiz. This is a story that we read in class, and students answered questions using a Kahoot afterwards. So I'm going to open this by clicking on it, and it brings me to the score report screen. And as you can see, you get a summary report first. It's right here, the summary report. It shows how many players, how many questions, and how much time it took to administer that particular Kahoot. And if we look to the right of that, we see players. It will give you data on the individual players, and you will see their percentage correct. So this might be the grade that you use to put in your grade book. It gives their name, and of course, as a reminder, you want to use nicknames or something that does not identify the student such as NBA teams or college basketball teams, football teams, or animals, so that it is a privacy issue online. And then the final score, again, you get points here. The final point shows score points as a score. And some students like to use Kahoot as a game, and so maybe you can reward the student with the most points. Okay, and so that's one report. And then you also have, if you scroll all the way down, it'll keep going. It'll show you all of the students. And if you look over to the right, you will notice questions. So how did they do on each individual question? You can see what the question was and what percentage of the students asked it correctly. This might be a way for you to revise your quiz. Maybe there was a question that was faulty the way you worded it. You might find something like that. And then if you go back to players, you also have right up here, didn't finish. So there might be a student that didn't finish in the amount of time, and you can see that. That may give you some data as to know which student might need a little extra time when you do something like this. So you'll be aware of it. And then finally, if you want to go back to summary report, you can see that information again, who didn't finish, who needed help. There were 4 people who needed help. And then if we click on view the podium, it might show you who those winning students were. And that's something that's really good to use to share with the class afterwards. Okay, and so if you ever want to get report options, if you come right up here where it says report options, of course, we can always get a hard copy. We can print these. We can download the report in the form of an Excel spreadsheet. It says download this report to your computer or to Google Drive. So let's do a download to see what that's going to look like. It loads in the corner here. Once it comes up, it will say open file. Click on open file, and we get our Excel spreadsheet, which the data is very similar to what we saw on the screen, but of course it's in the spreadsheet format. Okay, so that shows us how we can get to the data reports. And remember, it's all about how you use these assessments as a fun, engaging tool, but also how you use that data to drive your future instruction and how you might even assess what you may need to reteach. Okay, this time we want to figure out how to share a link for your students or how to assign a Kahoot to your students. You may be interested in using the Kahoot for a live Zoom session that you conduct with the students in a game-like atmosphere, or you may want to include the link in Canvas so that, or the game pen, so that they can play, at their own self-pacing at any time outside of class or when they are able to as a review. It's up to you, but there's one way or 2 different ways that you're going to do that. So again, coming back to the dashboard, this time the place that we're going to go is to our Kahoots that have already been created because the only way you can assign them is if you've already completed them, you have them made. So let's say the one that we created earlier called periodic table unit 2 grade 8 is the one that we want to assign. So when we say assign, we mean we want our students to play it. So we're going to click on play. It's over to the right. I'll go back and do that so that everybody can see it. So right here where it says play or edit, but we want to play because we finished creating that one. I'm going to click play. Now, over to the left, it says for virtual classrooms, This is for Zoom. If you wanted to do it that way, you would click, or you could do it this way in the classroom if you were face to face. For self-paced learning, this is where you would give them the link or the game pin. So coming back over here, they're going to need the game pin too. So this is, of course, when you're going to use it in Zoom, you want to select the one that says for virtual classrooms, or it says teach. So I'm going to click on that one first, and it will take us to a screen that looks like this. We have an option to do a team mode or classic mode. I like the classic mode. Player versus player or team versus team. It's up to you. So let's do the classic mode and see what happens. There are some other options that you can change. If you look down near the bottom, there's lobby music that's usually associated with playing Kahoot, and many of you may be familiar with that, but you can change that music to something different. They have fantasy, jungle, disco, funky. So that might be interesting to change that up every now and then, because students are used to hearing one song, but they may want to know or feel like they're playing a brand new game. You can randomize the order of the questions. You can randomize the order of the answers. You can show minimize intro instructions. I find that very helpful if you have a class of students who might be maybe some of the EC classes. That may be very helpful to some of the students if they show some minimize instructions, especially because they may hear that music and it may make them nervous and not be able to get everything done that you need them to do on time. So I'm going to click on Classic since we've chosen that mode. And you come to a screen that looks like this. Then you come up with the screen that shows you the game pin, which the students will need. You would share that during your Zoom session, the screen. The students would come here to www.kahoot.it, and this is where they would enter this game code or pin. And then when you are ready to start the game, you would click start once you see all the players loaded right here. So you know how many students are in your class. Once they're all loaded in, you hit start. Okay. So I'm going to go back and show you what it would look like if we selected the self-pacing option. This is the one that you might put in Canvas with the link and the game pin so that they could do this at their own timing. And you can also actually put a date that you want to assign this. Okay, so it says that we have a Kahoot that's already assigned. I'm going to cancel that one just so I can show you what that looks like again. So this again is when we're trying to assign one. Let me see. It's saying that. Okay, so we want to create a new one. That there's one already in session, so that's okay. So when you assign one, normally this screen will pop up before that other screen that you just saw. And this is where you can put players should complete it before. So if you want to assign this in your Canvas course, you can put the date that the students have to complete this by. And of course, you will know you won't do a score report or take reporting of scores until after that date so that you make sure that every student is accounted for. So this says Thursday, July 23rd by 2 p.m. is when they have to complete it. If you wanted to change that, of course, you could click here and change the date. You can change the time. You can even put a timer on each question if you want. And it's randomized the order. So just another reminder, once you have created the date and time stamp that you want, and maybe you don't change the options here, you just select create, and it's going to give you the game pin option and the link. So here, if you want to assign this to your class, this is the information that you would put in your Canvas course. You'll copy the URL, put that there, and the game pin that they're going to need to enter once they click that link is found beneath it, so you would share this with them also. There's other ways that you can share it. You can share it on Google Classroom, Artboard, Facebook, Twitter, but of course we're not going to be working on those platforms. So you would basically share it in your Google Classroom using these two pieces of information, which would be very important. Okay, so that's Kahoot in a nutshell. Engaging your students in online platforms like Kahoot and quizzes will make your course fun, but it will, if you create your questions really well and have interactive things that they encounter or interact with before they actually do these quizzes, you will see the content knowledge go up. You will see the use of these tools be looked at as fun and game-like, but also as a wonderful learning option for your students.